Hi everyone, I'm Jade. What we're talking about today is Skype job interviews. So I'm going to give you some tips and advice that I know about. I work on Skype. I'm always on Skype because that's how I teach on Skype. So this is everything I know from my experience of working on Skype. And I can compare how it was at the beginning, all the time when there was like a technical problem and something went wrong. So I can share all that experience with you to make your Skype job interview go more smoothly. Not just the technical aspects, but some other things you need to consider for your Skype job interview. So let's start with the basics of having a job interview on Skype. The reason you're probably having a job interview on Skype in the first place is possibly because you're being interviewed for a job in a different country. So when it comes to that, there's something really, really important you need to consider, and that's the time zone, okay? Because you need to make sure that at the time of your appointment, you're going to be there at the right time, because it's really, really important to get that first impression right by being there when you say that you're going to be there. So you can easily find out online what time zone somebody is in a different country. One thing I want to mention, if you're dealing with the UK, a lot of people just assume that they know what time it is there. Oh, they use GMT. Well, we do use GMT, which means Greenwich Mean Time, but the time will change. In the summer, it goes forward, and then we go into British summertime. So you need to watch out for that. Sometimes people just presume they know what time it is in the UK and actually get it wrong by 1 hour. So you need to check that out. Before your call, here's some just general good practice for you. Swap your Skype IDs before, because if your appointment is at 2 p.m. and then you suddenly realise, oh, I don't have their Skype ID. I better email them. You know, this is all time-consuming stuff. It's a time-consuming waste of time. Swap your Skype ID, but if this is your Skype ID, I recommend you get a different one for your Skype job interviews. It's not going to look very professional. You will also want to confirm before your appointment whether this is going to be a webcam call. In my experience on Skype, it really depends. I often work with programmers and software engineers and animators, and these generally guys. I've never actually had a woman doing those jobs, although I'm sure they're out there. I'm just saying I've never had a woman who does those jobs. These guys don't use webcam. They never use webcams, and I've asked them, when you have job interviews, do you use webcams? And they're like, no, we don't. So it probably depends on what area you're hoping to work in. But so in some industries, it's not necessarily expected to use the webcam. But a good idea will be to just confirm that before. Will it be a webcam call? Because if it is a webcam call, you've got some extra considerations that you need to get right. So let's just imagine it is a webcam call. You need to think more about not just your presentation of yourself and how your face and your hair looks. You need to consider what's behind you, okay? Because generally people would take a Skype call at home. So you need to consider what's in your background. Is it your bedroom? Do you want them to see your bedroom, or do you maybe want to go to a different part of the house where the background is like more neutral and not so personal? So you definitely don't want any mess in the background or any like strange objects in the background or whatever, because people notice on Skype. One of my Skype students, if you're watching this, you know who you are, had a giant cigarette packet in the background. And we had many appointments, and it wasn't usually there. Just one day it appeared, and then I was like, "Hey, what's that giant cigarette packet?" And he was like, "You can see that." He was really embarrassed. He had a party the night before, and then for some reason there's a giant cigarette packet in his house. So if you have your Skype job interview, you want to make sure that you don't have embarrassing objects lying around. But location means more than just the visual aspect of where you are. You really need to consider the sound aspect. Another thing I used to do a while ago, I used to do hangouts just for people to come and speak English to me. But one of the reasons I stopped doing it was that the average person's house is just a really noisy place. Someone's watching the TV really loudly, there are some kids running around, even just people talking. And when you're trying to do a Skype call, let's just say it's unpleasant to have all that extra background noise going on. So if you can manage it, no, I'm going to say you really need to make it so that where you're going to have your interview as a Skype call, it needs to be quiet. You need to ask your relatives to go out. You need to ask whoever it is to turn the TV off, because you can hear it on the other side in Skype, and it's not going to give a good, serious impression of you. Let's talk about the connection. I've noticed really big improvements in the internet connections around the world in the last couple of years. Connection isn't so much of an issue now, but you can optimize your connection by using an Ethernet cable. So getting a cable that goes straight into your router will make your internet faster, and also it will mean that you're the person who gets most of the internet. If other people are using it as well, you are the one who gets as much internet as they need. When you're on a Skype call, especially if it's a webcam call, make sure that you're not downloading stuff. If you've got other people in your house who might be gaming at the same time online or streaming, you could ask them before, do you mind just not doing it for the next 30 minutes when I'm doing my interview? I'm sure they won't mind for that short amount of time. Also to do with your connection, iPads are not as good for Skype because the connection they receive is capped. So you won't get a Skype call that's as good quality on an iPad as you will on a PC or laptop. Similarly, you could do your Skype job interview on using an app for Skype on a mobile, but I find the connection is unreliable, and you would be better served and you'd have a better result if you decide for that call, which is important to me. I'm going to use my laptop. And this is good practice as well. When you're doing a Skype call, when you're talking to someone, close the other chat windows, because they can hear if you're getting notifications on Facebook or sometimes other chat programs as well. So that's not going to look professional if you are sort of following what's going on in chat at the same time. So moving on from the basics to some more technical stuff, I'm going to explain a little bit more about using Skype and how you can optimize your call. So in the Skype settings, they have a place where you can go and check your audio. It's in the options, and it's audio options. In there, you can do it's called a free Skype test call, and you can check that your audio microphone, your headset, or your webcam is picking up audio from you. So you go there, you check it, and then you do the test call, and then you say something, and then you can hear yourself back. You should do that before your call so that you know if there is a technical problem, it's not you. So if you get on your call and the other person's like, I can't hear you, you know that you've just checked. So then you can just politely put in the chat box, I think my sound's working because I just checked it using the test call option on Skype, but I'll check it again. You know it's not you, but you're just kind of saying to the other person, I think it's you. That's really important to check your sound, because you get a lot of dead time in a call if the sound's not working. And when you're nervous in an interview situation, it's this kind of small problem that can take you out of your like positive, happy interview place. So check your sound. Before, you could also call a friend if you want, just to make sure that your webcam's okay. You can get their opinion. Does my webcam look okay? Do I sound okay? Because sometimes people have their microphones up too loud and you can hear them breathing and like mouth action, and sometimes on the microphone. So you want to make sure that your volume of your mic's not too sensitive. The best advice I can give you for improving the quality of any call on Skype is to invest in a headset. So headsets, you can get ones with the microphone extending to the front. You don't need to spend that much money, and it will dramatically improve the quality of your call. So I strongly advise you to do that. As a less good but better option, you can use earphones with, I think they often come with iPhones and things like that. You can use those earphones with the microphone here. That can be okay. It's better than the general surround sound coming from your laptop or something like that. And also another technical thing just for you to know, when you use Skype and you've got your job interview, you might be tempted to put the busy status on Skype. It's a big red, looks like that, just big red circle. Busy, I'm busy, don't talk to me. You can do that, but if you do busy, the other person can't call you. So perhaps in a job interview situation, I would expect for them to be calling you. So you've got a problem there. So I don't advise you to put yourself to busy. If your friends and stuff start trying to chat to you while you're taking your call, you can just ignore them. The other person can't hear that. Let's talk now about the quality of your voice. Something that used to be true for me, believe it or not, considering I work on Skype all the time now, is I truly used to be like a freak on the phone. I used to be really nervous on the phone. I hated talking on the phone. I was really uncomfortable. My voice was really shaky. I got over that just through doing it. I didn't like being like that. So I was like, right, I'm going to talk on the phone. I'm going to get over this. The other person can hear nerves in your voice, and it's not unusual to be nervous in a job interview. But what I'm talking about is some people are nervous because they're like on Skype, I've never been on Skype before, or this is weird. So I think you need to pay attention as well to what I'm going to call centering yourself. Just be calm before that call. Do something that makes you feel relaxed. Stop preparing. Maybe do this. Stop preparing for your interview the whole morning before. Spend some time relaxing, because it's better that you seem composed and calm rather than like, I know everything, but sounding very nervous. Let's talk now about just some general tips that I think can improve your interview performance. Get used to using Skype, because if you've never used it before, I know it probably sounds easy. Well, what can be that hard? You just sit in front of your computer and talk. Well, that might be the case, but I'm always speaking to people who've never used it before, and they make lots of excuses. Oh, I don't know Skype, or they don't know where the chat box is, and you try to give them instructions, and they can't really follow what you're saying. So just get familiar with how it works. And that way you're not going to seem like a real technical like noob or something. Newbie doesn't know what they're doing. You could practice your interview of your friend. Ask your friend to ask you questions on Skype. Got some police going by. You could ask your friend to do some questions with you, so that you have experience then of doing a job interview on Skype. You could record yourself, get used to wearing your headset. if you've not used your headset before, that might make you feel uncomfortable talking to someone with this like pressure on your ears. But generally just prepare as usual. You will be asked the same kind of questions. The main difference on Skype is you're not going to have to shake their hand. There won't be any physical contact that you need to do. But similarly on Skype, you do need to worry about your presentation. That's the way you look if you're using a webcam. So you might want to stand in your Skype job interview. Some people like to stand on Skype. You need to think about what you're going to wear. So if you're in your house, right, are you going to wear a formal suit for your Skype call? I don't know. It depends on what kind of job you're wearing. I would say that maybe a formal business attire is a little bit much for just sitting in your house taking the call. But again, it depends what job you're applying for. So something to consider. If the camera is not going to see below your face, obviously you don't need to worry about it so much. But I would say a better angle is one that's a little bit further away from your face and gets the shoulders in as well. And again, another aspect, because this is a online thing and not a real life thing, your profile pic is also part of your presentation. So you could change that before you swap IDs if you don't think that your profile pic represents you really well. You can change, if you get a standalone webcam, you can change the position. There are lots of different positions you can do, but sometimes camera right in front of your face feels a bit confrontational, because when you watch the other person, it's like you're staring into each other's eyes, and you don't do that in real life. So I generally do a little bit to the side, still looking at them. If I want to look at them, I can turn and look in the webcam, but it's less confrontational for the whole time. So this is everything I know about Skype job interviews, all the basics, the technical stuff, gained from my experience, a lot of my time on Skype. I'm sure it will be useful for you. But just remember, the main thing is about you can give your best when you feel relaxed. So just make that part of your preparation. It's not only just about the words that you use, it's about how you feel in a job interview. If you did like this, please do subscribe to my channel. I've got stuff like this. I've also got learning English stuff. I've got 2 channels as well, my engVid channel, my personal channel, because I've got 2 YouTube channels. So I want you to check them both out and subscribe. Go over to the engVid website to find out a little bit more about this lesson. And until you see me again, goodbye, okay? I'm going to go and get on Skype. See you later.